Hey guys. Hey Faye, you're right on time today. Sweet. I hope you're doing well. D. Lee and Top Dog and MTM, hello. Jouad, always a pleasure to have you here. So I hope you guys are having a good week so far. My week has been a little bit crazy, but it's okay. So if I appear disorganized tonight, I'm gonna blame it on this crazy week. It must be a full moon or something. I don't even know. But anyways, okay. Christian Delorme and Quebec Demise. Hello, guys. So, okay, you want to come on the path to hell with me, guys? Because it's gonna be a good one today. I told you guys last stream on Saturday or Sunday, whenever I did that stream, that we were going to talk a little bit about statistics manipulation, because I have to be very careful how I word things here. So again, you're going to have to apply what I say to current conditions. But yes, it's going to be very interesting, because once we understand government manipulation, it becomes very clear what's going on. So we're going to talk about that. I saw Tam is here. Hello, Tam. Hello, Eric Bouchard. Christian, you and Melanie are without the kids, eh? So I can bring out the swear words tonight. How sweet. Oh, goodness. Glenn, hello, Glenn. So anyways, and VP of the... So yeah, it's it's I have to put this on the screen. This is it's not funny, but it kind of is. Like, guys, we have to laugh through this. What the heck are we gonna do, right? So you couldn't sleep, so you don't want to open YouTube and you can't sleep. I guess you don't want to open BitChute, because that's even worse. The truth is stronger on BitChute. But the title virus, that sounds reassuring. Let's tune in. Oh yeah, I'm all about reassuring you guys tonight. It's just getting so crazy out there. Did you guys see that now people have to, everybody who works for the federal government, even if they're remote, needs to get the injection? I don't even know what to say anymore about any of this. Just complete craziness. Hey, Linda Kay, and awesome to see you. So yeah, it's getting a little crazy out there today, this week. And I'm going to also talk about Thanksgiving, because the propaganda in there is strong, my friends. So we're going to cover the Thanksgiving restrictions 2021 edition this year, and it's taken another massive propaganda hit on that one. So we're going to cover that, and yeah, pretty much a lot of the stuff that's been happening this week. It's been pretty insane. So I have a few things that we're going to cover. So, okay. We're going to start today with, what should we start with? I think I'm going to start with Cuba. The Cuba statistics fiasco. Because you know how everybody's always saying, oh, like Cuba, it's such a great place for all of the statistics, for like healthcare, and infant mortality is so low and all that. And it's like, why do we keep hearing this kind of thing, right? So why do we keep hearing this? And Cuba, as you know, is a communist state. So socialist states, it's the same thing. Communism is just the end result of about 400 years of socialism. So from a technical perspective, there is no communist country that's ever existed, although these socialist countries call themselves communist. So anyway, it's just a bit of background for you guys there, because I know that people are using socialism and communism interchangeably. So I'll use socialism for the part of this video, because the socialists are the real bad guys. They're the ones trying to bring about communism. And the socialists always use communists as a scapegoat. They're like, it's not us. It was this, like, it's not us, the socialists, it's the communists that did all this damage. So that's kind of how they get away scot-free. So another element of propaganda right there. So I'm going to use socialists tonight. But I saw something here. Oh my gosh, Faye, I'm so sorry to hear this. I don't even, like, I can't say this on air, but everybody can read right here. And I'm so sorry if you're audio only, because you're listening in bed with your earbuds and your eyes are closed. But Faye's just saying about talking about her sister who was forced into something she didn't want and now is paying somewhat of a price. So, Faye, my heart goes out to you, your sister. I hope she's okay. I hope it gets better. Oh, I hate hearing that. I'm so sorry, Faye. Yeah, Trudeau's papa is from Cuba. A lot of people say that Fidel is his dad. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't actually know for sure. I don't know if anybody knows for sure. Margaret knows. But anyways, and Trudeau has actually admitted he likes communist China. So he praised, when Fidel died there, he praised the Cuban communist leader. So it's not great to have a prime minister that is on record for praising two of the most corrupt governments on earth currently. So not great for us. But a lot of people keep saying, oh, Cuba is so great because they have such great statistics when it comes to infant mortality rate. So that's the one you're going to hear the most about. But you know how you hear, oh, Cuban healthcare, it's so amazing. It's so amazing. So let's start with that, because our healthcare in Canada is very, very similar to Cuban healthcare. The only difference right now is that we still have enough money to pay for things like electricity in the hospitals and running water, whereas Cuban hospitals that are for the people, so the people hospitals, are not fully stocked. They don't have the latest medical equipment. They don't have running water a lot of the time. They'll have like cats in the operating room. There's no anesthetics. Everything is restricted over there. Everything is scarce. So a lot of people will just break into hospitals and then sell the stuff on the black market. So hospitals are not a very good environment to be in. But the reason people keep saying hospitals in Cuba are so great is because they go as a tourist. And what they don't understand is that the tourists in Cuba have access to the top tier hospital. So this is how they get away with it. And that hospital is stocked with all of the best things. That's where they send the tourists. They have a second kind of tier hospital. There's really 3 tiers in Cuba. They have the second tier, which is for the political party and all their family members and the elite. So those guys get access to the top level of medical care in Cuba. But if you talk to an actual Cuban, the healthcare is just abysmal for them. Dental care, abysmal. There's nothing. But yet in our media, we keep hearing about how the healthcare is so great in Cuba. So why is that? Well, one of the things is that Cuba as a communist country is now, they don't ask for results. You know how you would when you're actually scientifically driven and you want to give the best care to the patient, you'll do what you need, you'll run as many tests as you need. In Cuba, as in any socialist country, they actually have an output, like it's central planning. So they have statistics, targets. They have to meet targets. So for example, Cuba will say, all right, we want the infant mortality to be lowered because we want to show the world how socialism is fantastic. So they'll lie about statistics. And if you think about what we've seen coming out of our government recently, we've seen quite a few lies. So it was funny because the first part, I almost view COVID as 2 parts, the pre-vaccine part and now the post. So in the pre-jab era of this COVID ski, we actually saw a lot of fudging in statistics, very, very similar to the central planning statistics and the outputs that they mandate. And then the doctors would fudge some numbers. So in our pre-jab COVID ski era, we actually had, incentives to have COVID patients in the hospital. You'd get more money. So, and then they were promised more funding in the future if they had a higher rate of COVID in their hospitals. So it's known now that some doctors have actually fudged the numbers to present it as in more COVID cases than were actually true. Now they've been caught on that, and a lot of people are coming out talking about this now. But that is one of the things they did, and it's exactly like what Cuba did. Cuba did the same thing. They said, we need to lower infant mortality, so we're going to actually fudge the numbers. So one of the things the medical doctors would do is they reclassified what was an infant, right? If you're lowering infant mortality, if you reclassify infant to be more than a year old, which is when most of the kids that make it to a year generally survive. They said if you're under a year, you're not considered an infant. An infant starts at 1 year. So they reclassified what it means to be an infant. So then they were able to say, hey, look, we don't have a lot of infant mortality here because the kids aren't dying here. This is a great socialist environment. But in reality, the infants that died under a year were not considered to be part of that statistics. And another terrible things that the Cuban doctors ended up doing to meet their targets. And it's very sad. I feel bad for the Cuban doctors too, because they're forced into that system and they have to meet these targets. And if they don't meet targets, they actually face repercussions. Their families face repercussions. So everything is terror. So they would have to meet that. So another element that they did to meet those statistics is as soon as they would do, and this is later in the 70s, 80s, when the ultrasounds were more available, if they even suspected that a baby would be malformed or had any kind of a mutation, they would actually force an abortion on the mom. So a lot of moms were interned into psychiatric institutions, being declared as unable to care for themselves while pregnant. Therefore, it allowed the doctors to go in and perform on them these forced abortions. So you had a high rate of post-abortion death from the mother, but a very low infant mortality rate. So this is a skewing of the statistics to meet the target, right? So you either lie statistically or you create the statistics. And this is what terror governments will do. So USSR, they did that all the time. And Cuba was notorious for that. They're known for falsifying all of their stats. And Cuba then, when they had a bit of the lifted embargo with the US, they actually and when the USSR crashed, so there was a phase between the lifting of the embargo from the States in the early 2000s and the 1991 crashing of the USSR. So Cuba was kind of screwed for a while because they were banking on the USSR to send them billions of dollars for years. They weren't self-sufficient. They were screwed. So now they were like, oh my gosh, what do we do? And so they actually came out with more amazing statistics about socialist countries, their socialist environment, because what happened is now like food was getting really scarce. It wasn't coming in. People weren't able to produce things. And a lot of people lost weight. So Cuba came out and said, hey, look, we have no obesity. Look at us Cubans. We're all fit. You US guys are fat, but the Cubans are fit. And it's because they weren't eating as much. So they lost a lot of weight. And on top of that, we know that cars are restricted in Cuba. And therefore, if you had a car in Cuba, you're lucky, but it's probably government issued car, or one of the 1950s car that your grandparents gave you or you had in the family, you were able to keep. Aside from that, nobody had a car. So everybody had to walk everywhere and everybody had to bike everywhere. And Cuba then came out and said, our population is incredibly fit. So we have low rates of diabetes. We have no car crashes. There are no car crashes in Cuba. Look at how our roads are safe. Well, there's no cars on the road. So of course you have no car crashes. But the dumb, duped, ignorant people who believe all the lies that these socialist governments put out are just going along with it, going, yeah, Cuba healthcare system is great. They just like the useful idiots of the world who go, oh, amazing. Look at that. There's no car crashes. There's no diabetes. Their health system is great. There's no infant mortality. All of this propaganda ended up in, in the mainstream here in Canada and the US, when in reality, it was quite the different scenario on the ground in Cuba. So anyways, this is how these people actually manipulate the statistics. And I'm going to show you here. So here's an article in case if you guys are interested in Cuba, any of the socialist countries. I really like to go to Mises University. Let me just show you those guys. They have a really good, the Mises Institute, sorry. They really have, Institute, can't do two things at once. These guys here. they have really good scholars that are actually doing a lot of research on things like communism, socialism, and all that. I really like their stuff here. And then, so I've explained to you now that the whole infant mortality thing. Here's an article by some people who have worked on that and have said, they explain here exactly, how the doctors were fudging the stats. So you can look at this article if you want. It's Oxford Academic Health and Policy Planning. And so you can actually go and Google this kind of stuff and you'll find it. You'll find the true research that's been done on that proves that the statistics have been fudged in Cuba. Same thing on the Mises Mises Institute. They'll actually show you how the statistics were fudged. But yet with all of that data out there, we have articles like this. Why infants, oh my God, everything is opening here. Why infants may be more likely to die in America than in Cuba. New York Times, big shill for socialism in America. And they have this article as late as 2019, after all of this has been debunked by the Mises Universe. I keep saying the Mises Universe. I told you guys I would be messed up tonight. And it's tired brain syndrome, full moon syndrome. I don't know what it is. But anyways, so lying about the statistics, and yet we have this article. Now, this is exactly what's happening now with the pre-jab era of COVIDsky had all of this, the lies and the cover-ups, where the doctors were falsifying statements in order to get more funding. People were kind of hyped into that whole thing and put on stage to go in and propagate that. They were misinformed by it and became mouthpieces for the COVIDskis. And then there were lies about the statistic. Now it's all coming out and people are still in denial, like these kinds of bogus articles that we see. So we will see things like, oh, it's the non-injected COVIDskis that are in the hospital. All of this kind of stuff is continuing, but this is a long-term practice of socialist governments. It's a part of central planning. And by the way, what we are seeing now is central planning. What we are seeing with the management of the whole COVIDsky situation is the formation of central planning, but it's the most scary, and this is why my title of this video tonight is so dire. It's because it's the most scary type of central planning, because it's like a global central planning. Before this, it was, okay, USSR was trying to central plan their stuff over there. Hitler tried to central plan for Germany and then Europe. But he started with Germany and then attacked Europe. And then all like for example, the Islam is trying to conquer the world as well with their one world government under Islam. So all these different totalitarian ideologies all want the one world government. But the difference is that for some reason now, and I'm not exactly sure what has made it possible, but all governments of the world seem to be operating in the same way. So as in the past, you would have Nazis being bad guys in Europe and you could have America go out and save them. Now it's like everybody is in the same boat together. And that's why we're on the path to hell if this doesn't stop soon, because it seems to be like a global version of totalitarianism all at once. Central planning is the main one. And it's almost like they found the ideal situation to do this. So they have, did they kill my stream on YouTube, guys? If I don't know if they killed it, they may have. Is a Thought Drifter, you're on DLive. Can you actually let me know in the chat on DLive? I don't know if anybody's. I don't know if DLive is still there. I think they've killed YouTube. But anyways, I'll keep going for the YouTube population. But I must have said COVIDsky one too many times. But anyways, so the statistics situation for this one world government is absolutely insane. And they're absolutely doing that right now. And yeah, the shadow government. Okay, DLive is there. Thank you. Thank you for confirming that, guys. DLive is alive. I don't know about YouTube. I'm so nervous because I never know when they're shutting this down, right? Okay, I'm good. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Colombo. That's awesome. Okay, so then the statistics that have been terrible that we've seen now are just going to continue. And it's almost like the one world government that we found the perfect way. So you know how the 20th century was all about, what they did was terror. And it's almost so terror and intimidation, like actual physical violence, like right out of the gates, right? So think about all the revolutions. Think about how the Nazis took over Poland and all those. It was always violent intimidation right out of the gates. And it's almost like these globalist guys have learned from that and now have decided, okay, we need a more insidious way of convincing people to go along with our agenda, but without coming out of the gates initially beating people up. So they found the ultimate way, which is fear driven by a disease. That is the key to their glory. And that's what they're using. That's what they're duping us with. They're duping us all the way with this, because with the fear, I mean, they're absolutely hyping it up. And a lot of people are willing to be duped by all of this. And I don't understand why. They're being the useless idiots of the globalist. So we're seeing a shift towards central planning right now through the medical avenue. And people are okay and going along with it. And central planning is now moving from the medical field into the private sector via government mandates. So you're seeing it. So the government is basically recruiting corporations to do their bullying / mafia job for them. The government is saying we are going to mandate this, and the companies are taking that and going along with it and mandating it on their employees. So it's much easier like that. It's like a form of central planning where the government's at the top and the corporations are all aligning themselves with the edicts of the government, whether it's democratic or not, doesn't matter. They're all aligning, and they're now doing the work of the government within their own little sphere. So it's an absolute, it is a centralization of power that we're seeing right now. We are actually going through this. And it started with the fear around the medical issue, and now it's transformed into all aspects of society. And now they're going after the people who don't go along with it. So the persecution phase, we're entering that. And it's going to be all the nurses, the doctors, everybody losing their job. Next, it's going to be everybody in the private sector. They are going to start coming after people and breaking up families. So they're going to make sure that the injected cannot live with the uninjected. And if you don't believe me, let me show you this. I'm going to show you something in here that that I see. I have a few articles that I saw. Let me just grab that for you guys, if I can find it. I had this all lined up. Okay, here we go. So these articles are absolutely frightening and a great indicator of what's coming next. So let's see here. This is global news yesterday. Unjabbed, uninjected relatives. Here are risks around the Thanksgiving table. So as Canadians, we decide what fixings go on the table for Thanksgiving, but we also face a more difficult decision, whether to invite the uninjected. Okay, so again, the division here is insane. The targeting of a minority group, absolutely insane. And just the nonsense that is spewed in here. So they're saying, maybe you guys in the chat can actually help me understand what this sentence means, but it says, the jabs are really effective, but they're most effective when you're surrounded by jabbed people. So then the jab is not effective, right? I don't understand the scientific value behind this, and they don't explain it. They don't the explanation they give is, if you introduce a unjabbed person who might be infected, everyone's risk of breakthrough infection increases. So then the disease is the problem, not the unvaxxed, right? I don't maybe somebody can understand this, because maybe I'm too dumb for this. But no, I don't think it's that. I don't understand how they can write this stuff and people go, oh yeah, let's not invite our uninjected relatives this year. Like, again, like I read this a bunch of times and I don't understand it. If you introduce an unjabbed person who might be infected, there's like so many layers, like might be infected. Everyone's at risk of breakthrough, but the vaccines are really effective. But they're only effective when you're surrounded by the other jabbed. And if you're surrounded by non-jabbed, the vaccine all of a sudden doesn't protect you, even though there's a breakthrough risk. But later on, they go and they say, well, breakthrough among the jabbed are rare. So, okay, we need to calm down for this, because this level of insanity is just too much. And I need to take a breath and get through this with a cool and collected tone. So let's recap. The jab is effective, but there's a caveat. Only when you're around other jabbed. And if an unjabbed is there, you might have a breakthrough, which would make the jab not so effective. But then the breakthroughs are rare, but the vaccine are effective, but you should really only be around vaccinated people. I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone, guys. Like, do you guys get this? I'm trying, like, it doesn't make sense. I don't understand it. And then they're saying, but they're putting somebody who's supposedly a doctor around this. I don't understand. Okay, let's keep going, because this just gets better. Okay, so to prove that the breakthrough cases are rare. So breakthrough cases is somebody who gets the COVID after they've been double jabbed. So they're saying that it's rare, and there's only 8,200 cases amongst the 10 million. So, okay, so if it's rare, why is this a concern? They'll be like saying, look, I have a slight chance of getting killed in a car crash today. Therefore, nobody can drive anymore. We shouldn't drive. Nobody should drive. Like, it doesn't make any sense at all. So we were going to get into more of the propaganda piece here. So having that awkward conversation with your uninjected relative or friend is the most ethical thing you can do. Now, these things you have in the chat. Okay, so Linda K, Gun Cotton, Faye Knox, Stavros, I've seen you before as well. Christian, you're going to know this. Moshpit, all of you guys, I've seen you all before. You're going to know what I'm going to say next. This is what the nurses of Nazi Germany said as they were literally killing their patients for being Jewish or subhuman. They used to say, this is the Nuremberg trials have brought this to life for the doctor's trial, but also the nurses' trials that happen outside of the big military trials. The nurses came out and said, we honestly thought we were doing the right thing. We thought this was okay. We thought killing babies because they were Jewish was ethical. Like, I can't even understand how this person who's a bioethicist is now saying this. And they're all saying that the defenses that I've seen on this on places like Twitter is that it's because in the past, the Nazis, they were killing Jews. You can't change anything about being a Jew. But the jab, they can change that. They can become jabbed. The unjabbed can become jabbed and therefore be okay. It's because they're making a choice. Therefore, we must discriminate against them. Well, that goes for everything in the medical practice. Everybody has freedom in a supposed democratic country like Canada to make a decision about their medical interventions, what they're going to do medically. We have a freedom to do that. Unless we all want to become like Cuba, guys, and all have the forced abortions because we don't want to declare infant mortality, we could do that. Like, is that the way Canada wants to go right now? Because it certainly seems to me that that's where we're going to go. Because when you hear people in Canada who are supposed, University of Montreal, I'm alma mater from University of Montreal, and this guy from University of Montreal is saying that the most ethical thing you can do is have a conversation, a really awkward conversation. And what they mean by that is you either have to convince the unjabbed to become jabbed or tell them that they can't come. Because we've already seen here that the jab is really effective, but most effective when you're surrounded by jabbed people. The direct implication being you should not be surrounded by the unclean, unjabbed, uninjected people out there. That is their direct implication. And then they have the fucking nerve. See, Christian, your kids are not here. I can swear today. They have the fucking nerve to come and tell us that this is the most ethical thing we can do. Absolute bullshit. I am ashamed to be in Canada at this point. At this point, I am wondering if it is better in certain socialist countries, because would they do this, right? Like, this seems to be beyond this. It's absolutely insane. I cannot believe this is Canada. And I bet you all that how many people in this chat are from or have families that came from communist countries that y'all fled. And now you're here, you're reading this stuff too. You're going, holy crap, this is what we fled. And now, surprise, it's here in Canada. And yet, I don't know, are people upset? Like, I just read you part of this article. Like, are you guys upset? Like, I don't know if it's just, I'm not overreacting, because I can recognize how directly dangerous this is. But what do you guys think about this? It's this one says, I'm ashamed to be on the planet. Ungeimster. I don't even know, like, where would we go? Where would Canada, if we were to flee, where would we go? Like, the United States, I guess, at this point. Texas? Like, I don't know. Oh, I don't know. So yes, okay, they're saying, so they're justifying their absolute disgraceful statements in here by saying that it's absolutely reasonable and beyond reasonable. Absolute. So look, the word absolutely, like absolute, this is absolute. It's an absolute thing to do. And it's beyond reasonable. Reasonable was already good enough, but it, on top of being absolutely, it's beyond. I think it's totally ethical. Well, if you have to say it out loud, buddy, I don't think it's ethical. Sounds like you're trying to convince yourself that it is, because you're supposed to be some bioethicist dude at the Université de Montréal, and you're spewing out this thing. And then you have to convince yourself, right? Right, Vardit? You're convincing yourself by saying this here? Is that what's going on? Because that seems like it's what's going on for me. I think the people who should worry about the ethical aspects of their decisions are those who chose not to be jabbed. Yeah, exactly. So you have no right in Canada anymore to your body. If you do not go along and take anything we want to put in your body when the government decides to, then you are the one that needs to be ethically challenged, and you are the one who needs to be outcasted, prevented from going to restaurants and bars, prevented from going to your job. Even if you work remotely with a computer in front of nobody, you still cannot go to your job anymore. So this is a very, very tragic phase that Canada is now in. A lot of the world as well, but I follow the Canadian news very closely, and this is what we're dealing with in Canada. This is absolute madness. It is the Nazification of Canada. It is the USSR strategies being wholesale brought into Canada, messing around with our morality and trying to all portray this under a feign of medical health. You know, we're doing this for your health. We're doing this for you. Well, how is, forcefully jabbing me protecting me? You haven't protected me. You've taken away my rights to decide what I do with my body, and my rights to decide on medical intervention, which I have a right to in Canada. You're taking it away. Okay. And this guy, check it out. This is the best sentence of the whole thing. At this point, those who are able to be jabbed but choose not to do so aren't just the equivalent of driving without a seatbelt. They're driving drunk. So it's not, again, these people have got it all wrong. It's not the fault. It's not a war between jabbed, unjabbed. It's, first of all, there's a disease. And it's the disease's fault. If you want to blame somebody, go blame China, Communist Party. They're the ones who brought that here. Go blame Fauci and his mafia friends who worked on the gain of function stuff over in Wuhan a few years before this whole thing broke out. But they don't want us to look at them, so they're turning us on each other, and they're pushing out these articles like this. Ironically, in a time where we're supposed to give thanks. Thanksgiving. You're not Thanksgiving very much anymore. Maybe they're going to rebrand this to a more like a more progressive holiday, because I'm sure Thanksgiving is racist something. But not being vaccinated is driving drunk. You are actually risking others. No, you know who risked others is the people who created this virus in the lab in Wuhan. And then our government said, there's no problem. Don't even worry about it. Canada has low risk, no danger. And you let flights come in for months. For months, you let flights come in directly from China. Spread this whole thing all over. And then you come back and have the audacity to tell me that I am unethical for making a medical decision for my life. Absolute insanity. Absolute insanity. So here, part of our ethical, I'm going to keep reading because this article is just the most epic piece of propaganda. Stalin would be so proud. Stalin would be like, yes, comrade, yes. Okay, as part of our ethical responsibility right now is still to educate. So they're still going around the education thing. So basically what they're doing is they're turning the jabbed into little minions for them and say, your job is to educate the other side. Educate is code word for phase one. Phase one is we'll talk to you nicely. Phase two is we'll take your job, and then we'll punch you. And eventually we'll put you in a camp and we'll say you either get the injection or you stay in this camp and work here for 10 years. And that's the way it's going to go. So these are all code words. We still want to educate. That's bullshit. They don't want to educate. They're trying to recruit minions to convince other people to take the jab, to advocate for vaccination. So now they're basically giving the power to the jabbed to have medical information powers over you. But if you come up with any data on your side to try to defend your position, you're a vax denier. You have no legitimate ground to stand on because, see, you have not been blessed with the Canadian government's ability to educate your friends on medicine. See, now the jabbed, they're medical doctors at this point. They can tell you have to take the jab. But you, if you try to say, these are the reasons I'm considering not taking it, I don't want to take it, you're an anti-vaxxer. See how it works? That's how it works. This is our new way of life in Canada. Okay, research shows, see, I told you guys a few streams ago, I told you guys that they were doing some clinical trial testing on getting Canadian doctors. There was a trial in, I think it was Cornwall, Faye, it was near you. It was somewhere, I think it was Cornwall, and you said that you were near there. But there was some kind of a trial that they were doing to try to convince family doctors to work with family doctors on trying to convince the unjabbed patients to take the jab. So that was what they were saying was the trial. It was an actual trial under the COVIDsky trials. So now this is why they say research, because they've been researching this stuff. Is the best way to strike up a conversation with a vaccine-hesitant Canadian. Also show respect and empathy. Just like the government is showing you respect and empathy by taking your job, preventing you from going into a restaurant, preventing you from flying anywhere. Like that's the level of respect and empathy that we're going for, guys. Like that's what they mean, respect and empathy. It's so laughable at this point that I don't even know why we listen to anything coming out of the media or the governments. So anyways, it's important not to laugh at them and not to dismiss their concerns. See, don't dismiss their concerns the way the Canadian government is making their minion corporations dismiss your job. Come from a place of empathy, and they're even telling you what to say. They're coaching you. So it's not news. This is a pamphlet to try to get you to convince your unjabbed neighbors, friends, family members to do it. And they're giving you pointers. Like, here, say this. I understand that you're feeling under pressure. What? I'm not feeling under pressure. I just read the science. I understand that you're feeling under threat. Well, yeah, my government is directly threatening me. They've taken away so many of my freedoms. I wonder how many I have left. I barely even have my body left. Usually our human rights and freedoms are the main consideration, but in our society, but we're living in a very particular point in time. This is why I was saying the Covidsky is the holy grail for these new measures, because they've taken fear to a whole new level, and they've positioned it around a situation that you can change as a choice. So if you think about the Jews couldn't change being Jewish. They were just Jewish, and the Nazis were like, done. You guys are done. We're getting rid of you. The kulaks under USSR with Stalin, the kulaks were the rich peasants of Ukraine. They were branded as kulaks the same way the people are being branded as unjabbed. The kulaks were a new classification in society that was a little bit richer than the other peasants, and they were told, you can give up your property and you'll be fine, but you have to give up your property and go work in a collective farm. Anybody who fought that were killed. They initially were not. They initially were threatened and jailed, but eventually they were all just killed. So this is why the Covidsky is the holy grail, because they've presented you with fear for a long time, brainwashing 80% of the people. Then they came up with a solution, and with that solution, they actually took out all of your other freedoms, and they're about to take out your body autonomy as well, your consent, informed consent. They're about to take that. That's the last frontier of freedom that we have. Once that one goes, we're done. So they're about to take that as well. And that is why this is the holy grail. That is why they keep using this language like, this is a very particular time. This is a pandemic. If you don't get vaxxed, none of us are safe. You're basically drunk killing everybody by drunk driving, you stupid, unclean, unjabbed, unwilling to participate in society. You need to be ostracized. This is exactly what they're doing, straight out of Stalin's book. Exactly the same thing, except this is like Stalin on steroids. This whole thing is putting Stalin in Hitler's body with his brain, and then, because Hitler was a little bit more charismatic, that's why I picked Hitler. According to the German people. I didn't say he was charismatic, but the German people. So then you put Stalin inside of Hitler's body with Hitler and Stalin brain merged up together, and you explode that onto the world stage, and that's what we have right now. We have literally the holy grail of all manipulations all hitting us at once, and people aren't able to see through it. And this is why it's so important that we keep talking about this. So now they're saying, look at this, more bullshit here. This is all temporary. We will get out of this. Yeah, what's temporary is the Covidsky, but what's permanent is the measures. They're never going to give up the vax passport. They're never going to give up controlling who works where, how much power they have over the companies right now. They're never going to stop that. They're never going to give this up. But in order to get out of it and get back to respect for human rights, so essentially here, this is awesome. Like these people, like if you read enough in their articles, they give up their position. But in order to get out of it and get back to respect for human rights, basically admitting they're respecting human rights, like straight up, they're saying we're not respecting human rights and your liberty to choose what to do. Again, saying we took away your liberty to do what for you to choose what to do. We need this. So they're like, okay, just do this one thing, guys, this one jab. Like, come on, just do it. And we'll all get back to normal. And then if somebody goes, excuse me, what about the boosters? Do we have to take those? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Just take these ones. Just don't worry about it. Don't ask questions. Go back at the back of the class. It's insane. Absolutely insane. So basically saying you want your liberty back, you want your body autonomy, and you want your human rights back, just go and do this. And then we'll give it all back to you. Oh, wholesale. Oh yeah, no problem. Yeah, we're absolutely going to do it. Trust us. From the same government who said 2 weeks to flatten the curve, and you don't need to wear a mask, to you need to wear a mask, you need to wear 2 masks. All of this bullshit they've been spewing for the last 2 years. And we're supposed to believe that if we take this the one time for the 2 jab period, we're all going to get our liberties back. What about when you said we need 75% of Canadians to get the vaccine for us to return back to normal? Well, aren't we at 80 now? And yet we're not back to normal. So liar, liar, pants on fire. Okay, if the conversation goes poorly and you're feeling guilty about booting a relative from this year's invite list, so they're basically telling you don't invite the unjabbed, you should cut yourself some slack. Oh, isn't that nice? I like how this bioethicist is just giving us like pointers on psychology and then telling me I did a good job and to cut myself some slack. Definitely not overstepping their role in society. Those who are struggling with the fact that we cannot invite people that we usually invite, we should not carry this burden of guilt. It's those who are not jabbed that should carry the burden. Okay, well, you just created a two-tier society with a persecuted minority. Way to go, Canada. Way to go. No jab is 100% effective. They have to say that because now too many people have the troubles after the injection. People can have different immune responses when they get the jab that result in slightly different degrees of protection. That's why some immunocompromised Canadians have gotten a third shot. By the way, this third shot thing is not just for these guys. It's going to be for everybody. It's like wearing a bulletproof vest. They're just getting all the points out. The car crash, you're a drunk driver if you don't jab, and now bulletproof vest, right? So the vaccine is the bulletproof vest. So it's good. But if somebody shoots you in the head, though, oh, you're going to die, right? It's just ridiculous. It's going to protect most of your body. Oh, it doesn't mean you won't get shot at, but there are places the vest doesn't cover that you can still get hurt. Yeah, so basically, are you saying that the vaccine is not protecting all of you? So, and if that's the case, why is it the problem from the unjabbed? Shouldn't it be just the disease? Like, how can you prove the disease is coming from the unjabbed, especially since 80% of people are vaccinated and you're still having that problem of transmission in Canada? Like, how the numbers don't add up, guys. But again, socialist statistics, we've seen that with Cuba. The statistics will never add up because they're making this shit up. Okay. Taking away the weapon is the best way to keep people safe. She says, in this case, the weapon is the coronavirus, because you know what? If they went and actually said that the weapon was the unvaxxed, it would have been just a step too far. That's 2 months away. We're like, this is just a little bit too early, guys. Christmas, you'll be deemed if you're the weapon, if you're the unvaxxed, because we already know we're the weapon because we're the drunk drivers, right? And they're saying because kids can't get jabbed yet, it's a responsibility on the adults. And look, like this is like, look how many, oh, they're so nice. They made a tweet that I can easily tweet this right here. Aw, thanks. Thanks, globalnews.ca. I will gladly never tweet this ever, but thanks for the offer. So anyways, they're gathering safely. There's lots of different considerations. Now they're going to talk about getting outdoors, and I want to see if they're going to offer that option for Christmas. Anyways, just in case you didn't get brainwashed enough by Global News, you have the exact same article showing up in the CBC. Anxious about unvaccinated guests at Thanksgiving. Here's some advice for those difficult discussions. So this is, again, they're going to give you little pointer tips. I won't read this whole one like I did the other one, because the other one was far, far worse in terms of being like Stalin propaganda. But they're giving you comments on how to do that and speak directly about their vaccination status. So now it's like, hey, Joe, you're invited over to my house for Thanksgiving, but can you please disclose your vaccination status first? Oh, goodness. So anyways, they shouldn't hesitate to set personal boundaries around what they feel is safe and blah, blah, blah. They're talking about the spike in 2020. But again, 2020, there was a spike supposedly because there was no jabby jab available. So technically, now that we have jabby jabs available, we should be okay, right, guys? Outdoor always trumps indoor. So the same bullshit about going outside, because that's super comfortable in the fall and winter when it's late at night. So anyways, New Brunswick, you guys. Woo, you guys are going crazy out there. Check this out. They are deploying police to go and stop gatherings. You're not allowed. So this is like Quebec last year at Christmas. Remember when the Quebec police officers were out arresting people who were gathering from different households? New Brunswick decided to do that this year. So they're not doing they're not allowing people to do that. Okay, so let's see here. We encourage people to remain inside the single house bubble. The ones who live alone. So this is where Ontario was last year. Ontario last year had said single household only for Thanksgiving, but if you have somebody who is alone, you can do that. There was another article here in CBC News. Not sure what to do about Thanksgiving plans. Your questions answered, because you know what? Like, you need to go to the government and ask them what to do about Thanksgiving plans, guys. Okay, look, I know, like, we used to have a life, but right now you belong to the government. Okay, so if you don't know what to do, you have to go to the government and ask them what to do about Thanksgiving. So, can I invite people to my house, Daddy Government? Do they have to be vaxxed? Can I download an app? Should I put a bouncer at my front door and maybe get them to check vaccination passports that you said would never be in Canada? Should we do that? Like, how should I run my Thanksgiving household dinner, Daddy Government? That's basically what they're saying. A whole article telling you what to do. Again, spewing out same statistics. So CBC News received many questions from readers, like, who the hell is writing to the CBC? Whether a gathering of fully vaxxed is safe? Like, why would you go to the CBC for that? Wouldn't you go to your doctor? Like, if you're seriously concerned about a health thing, would you be like, okay, look, I'm really concerned about my health and if I'm going to get the COVID ski over Thanksgiving 2021. So I really need to find out who I can talk to. Who am I going to talk to? Like, my doctor? No. Like, maybe a health official? No. CBC News. I'm going to email CBC News and get advice from them. Good fucking Lord. They really think we're dumb. Unvaccinated kids with vaccinated seniors and eating from shared dishes. Oh, see, you can't touch the spoon that grandma touched, baby, because you're gonna give grandma the Kovitsky. I can't even not be sarcastic tonight. Like, I'm just like, oh, good Lord. Okay, so now they have scary stats. Fear. You must be afraid. Is it safe for the fully jabbed to go on holiday gatherings with other fully jabbed? For the most part, yes. But you still should keep it small. But wait, I'm confused. Confusion. Because here, guys, you said in this one that the safest was to be around the vax. Remember that here? They're most effective when you're surrounded by vax. So the vaccines are really effective. But they're even more effective when you're around the vaxxed. But then why do I have to keep the gathering small if everybody's vaxxed? Like, right? Do you guys see that none of this stuff computes? It's almost like my brain is like so disturbed by this that like my synapses are starting to go crazy. How do people go along with this? My blood pressure is going up today. I told you guys it was a bad week. There's an element of risk in bigger, but I see, contradict yourselves, guys, because there are high rates of transmission. So anyways, another doctor, who's now saying something different than the other doctor from Montreal or wherever the heck that one was from. So just more bullshit. Can they vax? Can they do this? Oh my God, you have to wear a mask all the time. Make sure you wear your mask, guys, because that's totally safe with the mask. But still, you can't gather, and you must be vaxxed, but still wear the mask. What about unvaxxed kids mixing with unvaxxed kids from other families? So see, they're going through all the scenarios. Just make sure, total control over your life, guys. Total control. And what about inviting those goddamn unvaxxed, like, ungrateful idiots who don't take what the government wants them to take? That is definitely an issue, guys. Definitely. If people choose to have gatherings where people are unvaxxed, they have to realize that they are a greater risk. So next year, guys, you know what? This is my prediction, 2022 Thanksgiving, if not sooner. It will be that they will say, you are no longer allowed to go to unvaxxed. So this year it's like, unvaxxed and vaxxed can still kind of get together. It's like frowned upon, and you should really try and encourage your unvaxxed friend, neighbor, family to get the jab. But next year it'll be no, you can't. There is no commingling between the unvaxxed and the vaxxed. That's going to be next year's Thanksgiving if we keep going down this way, guys. And that will bring a whole bunch of other stuff like separation of families, kids being removed from their unvaxxed parents because the parents are going to be deemed unfit by some doctor somewhere, and they're going to lose their parental rights because of that. Also a tactic used by the Soviet Union, USSR. So and also a tactic used by Hitler. So anyways, my little Stahl Hitler guy, you know, the combination of the two, and this is what we're dealing with. They are going to do this next year if we don't rise up fast and oppose this stuff. It's going to be hell. So they're saying that all three doctors agree that getting together is not essential, and there's no reason to invite anyone who is choosing not to get this. So feel free to discriminate openly against the unvaxxed guys. Anyways, people have the right to decide what they want to do to be immunized, except if it's putting others at risk. So again, that same narrative. So yeah, you have the right, but except in this case. In this case, we can take all your rights away, but normally you do have the right. So anyways, this is what I was telling you guys about in New Brunswick. No private Thanksgiving gatherings. This is this one. So I feel really bad for you guys. This is what we went in Ontario and Quebec last year. And they are planning on sending people. So they're gonna use a few people as not bait, but how do you say, like examples to make an example of. So they are going to find a couple of you guys that are going to break this rule and put you all over the newspaper saying these people broke the rule and now there's an outbreak of COVID-ski. So just absolutely insane zones here, travel zones. This is the new normal. So, and household gatherings, a major source of infection. So now they've gone after all the public areas. They've gone after all the governmental buildings. And the last frontier was your private little home that you had, your private space. And this is the next thing that they're coming for. And next year we will blatantly dictate who you can see and not see in your house. So it's going to be a lot worse. So anyways, this is what they're doing. This is last year, what you can and can't do. So I was just reading through last year, and it's pretty much the same stuff. They were saying 10 people indoors and all that, and that you should try not to. And you should try not to get together with too many people and limit all of this. So we're in the same boat. All of these articles here, we're in the same boat as we were in last year. So if that's true, why the vax? Why the jab? If we're in the same boat, nothing has changed. We still need to limit our bubbles. New Brunswick can't even have people over in their own homes. Why? What did the jab accomplish, guys? Like truly, like from a just like an actual realistic perspective, what did all of this accomplish? So you still can't do what you couldn't do back then after they promised you they would change everything. After everybody, 75% of Canadians need to be double jabbed, and we'll open. That'll be enough. We'll open up everything, and you'll see you'll get everything back, guys. Well, we're at 80 now, and we're in the same boat we were last year. Threat of spread within your house, the fear, the scaring everybody, the forcing to wear masks indoor, the questions about should we even talk to people who are not jabbed, all of this absolute insanity. And all of that for what? For what? We're in the same boat. I don't know why we would keep going along with this at this point. So anyways, oh, Banks is here. Banks, I didn't even say hi to you. I don't know if you've been here the whole time, but I didn't even say hi. Banks is like always helping me with when I can't find words, and one of my favorite ones. They're out there. I love you all, but Banks, you're my favorite. I can't say that in front of Faye though. Faye, don't worry. You're also my favorite. Okay. So yeah, that's what I wanted to show you guys tonight. It's the Canada is absolutely a shit show at this point. I don't even know how we're gonna get out of this anymore. I'm really trying to get out of this, but yeah, the gulag, yeah, the gulag will be great. Just like summer camp, of course, the gulag will be awesome. Bog, you and I, we're gonna be there. Like it's gonna be like summer camp. We'll have our cots together. Like obviously, we're gonna have all the food in the cafeteria. It's gonna be amazing. Just awesome. Yeah, it's just absolute insane. So, anyways, I hope you guys are having a better week than me. Probably not. If you're a nurse or a doctor, you're probably like on unpaid leave now. If you're a federal worker, you're going to be on unpaid leave in November. But anyways, I hope that that you guys are hanging in there. Please hold the line. Don't give in to this, right? Like Winston Churchill said, never give in, never give in. We're going to get ourselves out of this. We're going to pay the price along the way. I'm willing to pay the price. I will pay the price. Whatever we need to do to save our country, I will do. I just hope that you guys can stay with me on that. And we're going to be the ones that are going to try to awaken as many people as possible. So anyways, that's it for me, guys. Thank you so much for joining tonight. I have no idea what next week's stream will be. Surprise, tune in for that. I have no idea what it'll be, but it'll be fun regardless. Thank you all for being there. Mwah. Big kisses from one unclean, unvaxxed, all the way out to you guys. And I hope I didn't spread the COVIDski with that kiss through my camera.